point I wouldn't mind touching on with you, and this is interesting actually. You've got quite a few good names in your division, and I know obviously you're focused solely on the rematch, but it wouldn't be right if I don't ask. You've got one name that you always seem to get spoken about with or mentioned. I don't know what words to use, but let's talk about it. You're a Liverpool boxer, you're light welterweight, and the name that always comes up when your name comes up is the infamous Ohara Davies. I wouldn't mind getting your view, especially as not only just a boxer in the weight class, but as a Liverpudlian, as they say, right? Is that correct? Yeah, correct term. Yeah. I need to get my terminology right. I'll tell you a funny story in a minute. But how did you feel about the situation that occurred with O'Hara's comments on the Sun and how it affected Liverpool people of the city?
I didn't actually see it. I don't have one like on my social media. Someone messaged me and said like, "Have you seen what he said?" and things like that. And when I first seen it, the immediate response I give was that he was basically slating the justice for the '96 and the Hillsborough. Now that he's gone back over it and things like that, and he's tried to make out a case as if to say it was something to do with Tommy Coyle and the Sun and something to do with his gym and things like that. That's a bit hard to believe for me personally, but I couldn't tell you if it was true or not. But I remember when I read it, it's like because as many people in Liverpool, you hold them sorts of tragedies close to your heart, and I felt like it was a bit too personal to be using in any circumstances regards to whether you was going on about that or you was going on about a completely different subject with Tommy Coyle, but it had the same sort of, the same sort of going on about the Sun, and that's going to be my favourite newspaper and things like that. I know he didn't actually say it, but that story seems a bit far-fetched, especially when Tommy Coyle said like there was nothing going on so with my gym, so I don't know what you're on about. So it did just sound like someone had put the words into his mouth and he tried to back himself and get his way out of it. But honestly, as time goes on, I don't even give him the second thought. Now that he's left, like with Eddie Hearn, when he was with Eddie, he was the sole light welterweight with Matchroom. So where they have each one in each weight that they push the most, and then they might give their number 2 kid a shot at the number 1. With him, he was the only one. There was no number 2 kid, so they were just feeding him whoever really, hoping he won. Now he's gone with Frank Warren. I could name 10 off the top of my head light welterweights in that division. They mightn't be as outspoken or have that like egotistic characteristic as O'Hara, but there's plenty of them that are better fighters than him. So when you're with a big promotional company, there's only one of you that are going to get pushed forward into the big picture. Yep. And if he thinks that out of all them light welterweights with Frank Warren, he's going to be the one, I think he's wrong. I could name a few of them off the top of my head that I think could beat him comfortably as well. So I think he's bit his own hands off by messing it up with Eddie Hearn.
So with that said, do you have? It's probably like a question I shouldn't ask, but do you look at like the Josh Taylors and the O'Haras and say to yourself, okay, once this rematch is done and dusted and I get that out of the way, I want to start taking on the big names domestically?
My honest opinion is all I've ever thought about is getting to the world title as quick as I can. But like, say I was to win this and then another fight, I could be on the touching door of a world title, and then someone offers you a big massive domestic clash. But you've got to be realistic with the money and things like that. If the money is nowhere near as good, like sometimes if you were waiting for a world title, you might have to sit on the fence for 8-10 months. Do you know what I mean? Just waiting for your mandatory to come round. Yeah. But if these big domestic dust-ups come up, if the money's only average compared to what you're going to get for that, would you risk losing it? And what's on the line there? A bit of pride and ego, rather to a world title shot. But the way things are looking in Britain, like you could get Josh Taylor fighting for the WBC title before the end of the year, because he's working his way up them rankings.
That's right.
With Frank Warren, you could have Terry Flanagan, if he wins Hooker, fighting Jack Cato for the WBO world title. Do you know what I mean? So at one point over the next 12 months, possibly, if everyone kept winning, you could have 2 or 3 world champions from one country in the one weight division, which probably doesn't happen a lot. Do you know what I mean? So them fights can wait, especially if the money's involved. Do you know what I mean? But right now on the domestic scene, I haven't even given it a thought, because the only thing I've been thinking about is my rematch. But if there was a fight domestically, I think the only one right now to make sense for me would be Ohara.
I believe so. I think like the rivalry, especially you guys had rivalry before.
Yeah, it generates interest because of the rivalry. Do you know what I mean?
Then you got the Liverpool situation as well. Like all the factors build up to a potentially good fight and a good build up, and I think that would definitely work. I mean, I noticed on social media after the Josh Taylor fight, Ohara was a lot more vocal about fighting you. This was still when he was with Matchroom. And how things are going now, I think as a fan, I would love to see that fight personally. Yeah,
right now we haven't. I know it's arguable this fight, but I feel like he always starts it and I always finish it, like the arguments and things like that start with us. And he's left me for a bit now, so I think he's just looking at getting another win himself and getting himself back out there. But it wouldn't surprise me if after I've fought and after he's fought, he pipes up again and something starts again. And if it is something that generates that much interest, and Frank Warren comes to us and speaks to Neil, and Neil comes to me and says, you can't turn that down, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then why not? I'll punch his head in. But if it doesn't make sense for me, then I'm not going to do something that just makes sense for him, or for anyone that matters, do you know what I mean? It's got to make sense for me and my career. I'm not there to push them on or do what's right for them. I'm there to do what's right for me.